Next, we're going to hear from our newest and youngest IRC ambassador, Toni Cornell. As an ambassador, Toni will use her platform to help raise funds and awareness about the fundamental issues affecting our world and her generation. I'm honoured to welcome her here now, and with that, I'll turn over to you, Toni.
I want to begin by saying how much of an honor it is to be chosen as an ambassador for the International Rescue Committee. I have supported the IRC for years because I believe in the mission and in the people within it. This work is so very important and personal to me. I started on this journey with my dad, Chris Cornell, who most of you know as the rock star from Soundgarden and Audioslave, when I was just 11 years old. My dad was more than that. He was first and foremost a dad and husband, and he was also a humanitarian who cared deeply about the injustice he saw in the world, which has been expressed in many of his songs. He believed in the need for transformational impact and taught me that each person around the world needs to try to help those that are less fortunate and to speak for those who do not have a voice. When he wrote the song for the film The Promise about the Armenian and Greek genocide, of which my great-grandparents were refugees and survivors, he first showed me the importance of using my platform to make a positive difference in the world. We talked about how the methods used against the Armenian people were used again to carry out crimes against humanity in Bosnia, Darfur, Rwanda, and Syria, contributing to a massive global refugee crisis. In learning, I started to see for myself and understand that even here in the United States, groups can be isolated based on race and religion, and that we must make sure we stay vigilant and work to protect each other's human rights. Ever since then, I've been determined to keep the promise for him and continue the mission he began with my mom and me, to help those less fortunate and speak for those who do not have a voice. In April 2017, I had the opportunity to visit camps in Athens and in Lesbos, Greece, with my mom and dad and see how the amazing IRC staff worked with Syrian and Afghan refugees. There I was able to witness and understand firsthand what refugee really meant. Most of the families we met at the camp during that time were from Syria, and I remember the shock I felt, the pain and horror of some of the stories they shared with us. They described the dangerous journeys they made to find safety for themselves and their families. I remember their young children and their fatigue and grief at leaving everything they knew. I learned how refugee children are especially at risk, not just from threats to their physical health and safety, but from sexual exploitation, boys as well as girls, while girls still remain the most vulnerable. I learned how the plight of the refugee exposed them to risks and dangers that regular migrants would not experience. On another visit with my mom and the IRC staff, I remember sitting in a classroom in Lesbos, listening to teenagers like me share their fears of the unknown, their gratitude for being alive, and the hopes they had for a better future while seeking asylum. Right now, Syrians are enduring the worst economic crisis since the war began 10 years ago. Water shortages in northern Syria are creating drought-like conditions for millions, resulting in vast food shortages, all while the risk of yet more military action looms. But whether fleeing war, persecution, famine, or natural disaster, every refugee has experienced devastation. They all hope to find safety and a better life at the end of their journey, and at every stage of that journey, they face danger. The thing that really stuck with me the most was the hope they had, a hand outstretched and a desperate wish that someone would take it. A wish that things would get better, if only someone could provide a moment of relief, share a burden, help them go on. I realized how hard it is for refugees to do this alone, while the odds often continue to stack up against them. I saw how the IRC was helping families with a genuine support system, a home away from home, the education they would need in the future, and most importantly, the hope that must be nurtured to enable them to persevere through the worst of times. When we look at genocide, we somehow only think of the past. But the truth is, we are seeing unspeakable violence persist all over the world today. It is happening right now. We should be learning from the past, not repeating it. The words never again seem like just words when we recall these mass executions of the 20th century, as well as renewed racism and prejudice around the world. I'm 17 years old. To me, it is vital to understand the world that I'll inherit. Global conflict continues to increase. I see new conflicts start, old ones reignite, and current ones stretch on for years. I see climate change affecting lives and living conditions, with flooding in some places and droughts in others. I see a global pandemic damaging or destroying the health, lives, and livelihoods of people everywhere. I see violence against women. I see girls younger than I am forced into marriages and denied their right to education and independence. We are all affected by many of these problems, but refugees are the most vulnerable of all. But I also see all of you. Everyone who has decided to be a part of making a difference in the lives of others, helping those in great need. I see outpourings of love and compassion and support between people, neighbors really, because on this earth, that is what we all are. People trying to do the best they can, be the best they can, and to help each other. To all IRC staff around the world, thank you for the very important work that you do. I vow to uphold the values that were established 84 years ago by Albert Einstein, and I am in awe of your dedication to help people whose lives have been upended by war, conflict, and natural disasters to survive, recover, and rebuild their lives. I have been a supporter and donor to the IRC, and on behalf of both myself and my father, I am proud to add my voice to your collective call for kindness, compassion, justice, and hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony, for your powerful words and for joining us here today. So I'm now pleased to be joined by my IRC colleague,